Hello, Mauricia with Pure Living Farm and Wellness, where we discover, grow, and heal. And we're going to talk about worm composting. We're using red wigglers. In my research, they're said to be the best worms for composting. There might be difference in opinions on this subject, but from the research that I did, red wigglers are supposed to be the best worms. And I found a company that was said to be pure red wigglers and not a mix of worms, but just red wigglers only. And the company is called North Carolina Worms, is where we ordered our worms. It came in this box, and as I opened the box, there's hay shavings that's in here, and the worms are in this bag. It also was a zip tie, but I took the zip tie off to look inside and kind of wrapped it back up with a string. And so we're going to open this up. I'm using one hand, and we're going to look at how they packaged inside this cloth. And the cloth is a breathable cloth because we want the worms to survive when it gets to the person that's receiving it, like me. And so in the bag, in this cloth, there's soil, which we call BlackGold. Let me open it up some more. And let's look inside for the worms. Let's see if we can find some worms in here. There's supposed to be 1,000 worms, but I'm not going to sit there and count it. So I'm just going to trust the company to be honest on how many worms they packaged in here. Okay, I'm sticking my hand right deep inside to get a worm in here for you guys. Okay, so if you can see the worms moving, let me zoom in a little bit closer. And we got the worms right here. And what the worm does is help break down the soil. So why did I get worms? Why did I get red wigglers? Outside of the research that I done that this would be the best worm to get for my soil, I'm getting the worms so that they could break down my soil and make it rich. With the rich soil, you get better growing crops because of it. The worms help give nutrients, or I shouldn't say nutrients to the soil, but really break down the soil to make it nice and moist and what it needs to be for a perfect or great garden season, a great garden. And so that's what we did that. The other reason for getting the worms is to better master how to compost or do worm composting. And the reason for this, I wanted to purchase worm compost. I did it last year and I put it in my garden this year, and it's doing wonders for a first time planted in the soil that I'm planted in. And the soil is more sandy. It's not as clay like I did had in Georgia, but the soil that I had was rich soil in Georgia and our previous property. So I had good soil because we had a lot of worms. And this soil that I'm using currently on our new property, it doesn't have as many worms that I would like. And so why it's doing well, one of the reasons is because I added worm composting. So I called the company to do the same thing again this year. Again, another process of it, and they did not have any in stock. They were waiting for the company they purchased it from for resale to have it available. So I said, you know what? Why not do it myself? So I did the research, and with the research, I found a company, again, North Carolina Worms, and this is what we're going to do. So now I'm moving you over here. What do we have to do after we got the worms? Well, the worms have to stay where it's at for 24 hours before I transport it into this bin. Now, the bin, I need to drill holes at the bottom of the bin underneath here. As you can tell, I lift it up, it would be under the bin. And about 20 holes is what we're going to do, but you can do 10 to 20 is what I found in the research. And so the holes will be there, and there'll be holes up top as well, and maybe equal to the same amount. I don't recall how many holes to put on top of the lid. So there'll be a lid. The lid is over there, and I'll put the lid on top. But before I do that, I need to fill the bin with materials that the worms can break down. And so I put what is it here? I placed cardboard And I have brown paper. You can also add newspaper clippings, but not the glossy kind, regular newspaper. You can also add white paper, printing paper in here, nothing glossy, regular printing paper. You can add dry leaves, which we are. We're trying to do everything that we don't have to purchase that's going to go in here. So we're going to do dried leaves. You can also put dry leaves in here. You can put, I think, coconut shell, but we'd have to purchase a coconut. If we lived in Florida, where it's readily made for you, it's readily there for you to find, we don't have that on this side of Alabama. So I'm going to use only free materials. I'm going to use the cardboard. I'm going to use paper that we may have that is not glossy. I'm going to use the brown paper bag that we got from boxes of purchases that we've made. And so the cardboard. There are other materials that you can use to put in there. We're using everything that we can use that is made accessible to us. Like I said, the next is going to be the dry leaves that we have on our property. There are some other things I cannot remember. I'll put it in the description. What else? So after we do put in all our materials that we need to put in there, then we're going to wet it. We're going to wet it, not to where it's like dripping wet, like I filled up a bucket and it's dripping because it has holes in between the holes, but it's going to be nice, wet, and moist. I'm going to use water. We can spray it. We can pour the water in and press it down to see how much we need to add. And that's it. After we do that, we let it sit for 24 hours, and then we put the worms in there, and then we wait 48 hours. What do you have in your hand, little man?
Eggs.
Let me see your hand. Oh, you got some eggs in your hand. Oh, by the way, we can also use eggshells in there. So if you eat eggs and you have the eggshell, you can use the eggshell in the compost. In the bin as well for them to break down. Thank you, sweetie. You can put it in excess. No, not yet. You got some eggshells in there.
No, I want real eggs.
Okay.
So I can throw them.
Okay.
And see what they do.
All right, not right now, okay? Because we need to sell those. I promise you, after we fill up another carton, then we could do that. So he just reminded me you can add eggshells. Again, I'll put in the description box all that you could put in there. So yes. So after you wet it, you wait 24 hours to put the worms in. And so tomorrow we'll put the worms in, and then you let the worms sit there to become familiar with this area for 48 hours. After you're done with that for 48 hours, then you can put your other materials that needs to go in there, like your scraps, your food scraps, like your banana peels and stuff like that. Not anything. Again, I'll list that also in the description. What you can, and there's plenty other videos that would do a better job at explaining what you need to put in this to make your own worm composting. Our goal is to use it for ourselves, and also eventually, if things work out, we'll be able to bag it and sell it, or even sell worm compost tea. And so that's all for right now. Here's something for you to discover. And maybe you're thinking about it. Maybe you thought about it. Maybe this is your sign to go and check it out. Maybe you never heard about worm composting and now you're interested. Sky's the limit. So go ahead and look up worm composting, how to do it for yourself, and what type of worms is used. I'm sure there's many methods that can be used, and I just gave you one. Until next time, discover, grow, and heal.